want to ask you this. Do you take OKC? Do you view them the same way that I did a year ago, knowing regular season, 64 wins, all that, or are you taking the field?
I think the NBA moves quicker than ever, faster than ever. Or faster than ever, quicker than ever, excuse me. Where Oklahoma City looked, they lapped the field last year. And then the league gets better. The league catches up to you in ways that it didn't before. Usually, if a team goes on a run, you got 2 or 3 years and then you wait it out. I don't think there's a fear factor for them anymore. And it's important to note, we have not had, and the NBA is the league of repeat champions. We have not had a repeat champion since the Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Golden State Warriors, and they had issues getting out of the Western Conference, and that was one of the best conglomerates we've ever seen. I think health catches up to some degree. I wonder about Jalen Williams. Is that hamstring all the way right? If he's all the way right, then yeah, there's something there. But don't they have to worry about Big Slim? Don't they have to worry about Victor Wembanyama waiting for them possibly in the conference finals if they are to get past the Denver Nuggets? I think this is just going to be matchup dependent. And the other thing is this, in terms of playoff history, of all those champions that we've talked about since 2019, none of a recent champion has even gotten out of the second round of the playoffs. They haven't even gotten to the conference finals. And we walked into the playoffs with all of those champions, even the bubble Lakers. We felt like each of those teams had a reasonable chance to repeat. And then something happened along the way to June. Something happened along the way that we didn't expect. I still give the Thunder a better chance than anybody else, but I'm not counting out Denver. I'm not counting out San Antonio. Even if I don't think they're better teams, anybody can get caught in today's NBA of parity.
Yeah, the field, when you have this field versus everybody else discussion, you have to be so much better than everybody else for me to take you over the field. So when I say somebody versus the field, I'm saying prime Tiger. I'm saying 72-win Bulls. I'm saying KD, Steph Warriors, who, again, like you said, had trouble getting out of there. Sure. The OKC Thunder are not that much better than everybody else for me to say them versus the field. There's just too much competition. We've seen so much in the regular season. They played the Spurs, Nuggets, and Celtics. Overall, a -5-point differential against those teams. They've all taken them to the wire. And the biggest thing for me, beyond the J-Dub injury, which is huge for OKC, has not looked like himself for the entirety of the season, is the fact that you have a team going into the playoffs that are, yes, the favorites, who may not have the best player on the court in the second or the third round, which is something that you have to overcome. I know it's a team.
Oh, they'll have it in the second round.
Well, how things shake up, they may have it. They may have Jokic.
No, they won't see Jokic or Wemby into the conference finals.
Right. Yeah. So
it'll be the conference finals.
Right.
That
so
they will have.
So they will. Yes, conference finals. They will not have. May not have the best player.
May not
have the best player when you talk about SGA and Jokic. Now, SGA could be somebody come clutch time who you want the ball in his hand more than anybody else. But overall, over a 48-minute span, I don't know who the best player on the court is, and that's something that should be really scary for the OKC team.
I think we can say this, Al, and if it's the last 2 minutes of a serious playoff game, SGA is going to have the ball in his hands, and he's either going to score or get fouled. Like, I don't know if there's a player more that you trust. Maybe even this side of Jokic, because you can double Jokic and everything else. Shea has a way of manipulating the game, and I use manipulating in an affectionate way. He can manipulate the game to where you're afraid to touch him. He's so efficient, and he's going to get a good shot or at least a shot up on goal every time. So when things get tough, I do trust Oklahoma City to play like themselves better than most of these other teams, even the Spurs, who have had their number this year.
I don't know. I think when you talk about the Nuggets, that is a team with the playoff experience, with what we just saw. Look at what they did against San Antonio. That was a team that clicked into championship mode down the stretch. Jokic was playing his best version of defense. Aaron Gordon was playing his best version of defense. And Jokic was saying, I am going to take Wemby and make impossible shots. So in the same way that you can talk about SGA manipulating a game down the stretch, Jokic can absolutely do that at the same level and maybe even better.
Real quick, can we put the odds back up of the title odds here? Obviously, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder leading the way, and then it's the Boston Celtics. I just want to take a look here real quick. So there's the Spurs there at plus 550, the Nuggets at plus 850, and that's it for the Western Conference. So for both of you, because obviously they are the favorites to come out of the West. They're the favorites to win the NBA title. Who is their biggest threat in the West, Vince?
Oh, their biggest threat is San Antonio. They have their number. I think the second biggest threat to get out of the West is Denver. the team that Oklahoma City does not want to see is the San Antonio Spurs, because Victor Wembanyama flat out does not like Chet Holmgren.
Yes.
He doesn't like that man Cologne. Like, for whatever reason, whenever he see him, you just get that look on his face. Like when you hear like a good beat or something like that, you're like, ooh, this is just something. And he dominates him. And I think that hate, that competitive hate, has permeated through the rest of the Spurs. When you win 4 out of 5 games and then Jalen Williams comes and says, why can't you guys handle them? He says, well, when a team beats you 4 out of 5 times, that means they're better than you. This is when Oklahoma City was on a 70-win pace that we thought that they were going to get to the Golden State Warriors thing. And then here's the other part of it. They're 24-2 or something like that out of their last 26 games. And the Spurs are still on their heels. There's no fear.
It's going to be a good one. I love playoff hate. I think it's always good for us.
He hates the way he talked, the way he walked.
Take on the Knicks in a huge Eastern Conference game. Tonight will be Jason Tatum's first time on that MSG court since he tore that Achilles in the playoffs last year. Vince, which team has more at stake tonight when it's Celtics versus Knicks?
It's always the Knicks,
You ain't
right?
gotta laugh so hard. Calm down.
I'm sorry, Monica. Orange and blue skies. So she wearing that colored dress over there. I get you, Monica. No, it's always the Knicks because the Knicks have never made it to the finals. In some ways, it's almost like we treat the Knicks as if they lost to the Celtics last year in the Eastern Conference semifinals, as opposed to vice versa. The Knicks, they're not going to get the second seed, I don't think. But you don't want to fall to 4. And you want to, going into that playoff matchup with Boston, to have some level of mental edge. They're always teetering. Remember, Josh Hart last week, after they lost a couple in a row, said, man, we got to win this game. The next game was in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Like, what are we saying here? They're always on the verge of some level of collapse in our eyes.
Monica, you cover this team on a daily basis. We gave you a homework assignment as a show. We said, put together a Knicks checklist, what they have to get right in order to actually not just win tonight, but make a deep playoff run.
Yeah. Before we go to this graphic, which has the statistical things, I just want to touch on what Vinny said in terms of feeling like you're on the verge. The pendulum swings for this group have been disappointing this year. And in fact, coming into that Memphis game that you referenced, they had very disappointing showings versus the Charlotte Thunder. And then Oklahoma City actually wasn't a bad loss.
Charlotte Hornets.
But the Charlotte Hornets.
You combined the two. It felt like it.
The Thunder game actually wasn't a bad showing considering that's the best team in the league. But the Hornets game was like, what is happening? And so I think when you have the talent, you expect performances to be more consistent. Now, as far as tonight goes, these are the things that I'm looking for, not just tonight, but in these last 3 games to finish out the regular season. They got to get to the O boards. When they get to the offensive glass, that's their best formula to get easy baskets and the opportunity to get to the free throw line behind Jalen Brunson, penetrating, getting into the paint. They've got to knock down threes.
Yes, they do.
Look at this number, y'all. When they hit 15 or more, they're 31-7. Not to mention, that impacts everything in terms of how they play basketball, including the next point, which is how well they defend. Holding opponents under 110 points has been money for them, and keeping opponents less than or under 32% from the three-point line is hugely important for this group.
Monica, the crazy thing about the Knicks, for all the things that we say about them, 7th in defense, 3rd in offense.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel a certain way.
And I've said this all year long, Traeger, and you're a New Yorker, you know,
Yes.
they are competing with the ghosts of the team from the past 2 years that captivated the heart of the city with all of the ugly things. Despite, on paper, yeah, this is your best shot. But they're competing with themselves and who they have.
High expectations. Masters Thursday into Knicks Celtics. What a day. Let's go. Coming up, does Houston have a problem? Yeah, the Texans made a big decision about their quarterback, but have we already seen the best of C.J.